this is the Campus Writing and Speaking Brown Bag about technology and collaboration. We're going to be focusing on some examples of collaborative technologies that you can use in face-to-face, hybrid, or online courses. As teachers, we often hope that when students get a collaborative project, that this happens. Yay! We're all excited about collaboration, and it's going to be a great experience not only for your subject, that you're going to have them developing their writing skills or improving their knowledge of your subject, but truly this is what most often happens with students. They feel frustrated, sometimes they even get a little angry because group work can feel a little frustrating. Society always wants us to think that collaboration is everything and that working together has a number of benefits. But what usually happens is that one poor person, either the overachiever or maybe the control freak in the group, ends up doing all the work while the rest of the group sits in the back and talks about how much they hate collaboration. But what could happen with scheduling, planning and communicating and working is that students can work together to have a successful collaborative experience. So today we're going to be talking about our three-part plan for collaboration, and we're going to break down scheduling, planning and communicating, working, and then we'll provide you with some instructor resources. What we have here is a website that you can come back to and use a number of different ways as a resource, and is also for sharing those resources with your students. So let's start off by looking at our three-part plan. Our three-part plan includes scheduling, where you can coordinate with group members to schedule project meetings, planning and communicating, what happens as you are trying to talk about topics, delegate tasks, and actually keep in touch with group members as you discuss your project ideas. And lastly, the actual working part, where you're creating your project and sharing it back and forth and getting it ready for final submission. So here we have a flow chart that can help students make some decisions about what kind of technologies they can use to make their collaborative project and process go much easier. And we're going to go through each one of these as we show you examples and discuss some of these technologies. And so you can come back to this flow chart and spend some more time looking at it later. So let's start off with scheduling. And my favorite thing for scheduling is Doodle. We often see when students first get together the amount of wasted time that happens as one student says, okay, we need to meet. Who wants to meet later? Who can meet today? When can we meet? And there's this back and forth without actually any progress forward in the scheduling process. In online classes, this happens and causes significant delays in actually making a decision. And so by using a tool like Doodle, it automatically sets up a process that's going to be easier for students to pick dates and then find dates that are going to work with everyone. So here's what happens. To schedule an event, you enter in the date and time and offer a number of different suggestions of when you could meet. Then you get a URL and you can share that out with the group. And each student is then, or person in the group, you don't just have to use this with students, but each participant then enters their name in and just clicks each box that indicates that they can meet at that time. So if a new student comes here, I would type in my name, Sarah, here, and I would say, well, I can meet at 2 o'clock on this day. March 1st, I can meet at 11. And clearly, this is the day that is going to be most effective because everyone else has already indicated that they can meet. So instead of having 7 or 8 or 10 or 15 emails back and forth saying, we need to meet, when do you want to meet? I don't know, when do you want to meet? This eliminates all of that back and forth, and Doodle is an excellent, excellent online technology. Next up is planning and communicating. And sometimes students just need a space in which they can get some of this work done, especially hybrid students or online students who may not meet face-to-face. So one option is Illuminate, and this is an excellent program that allows students to have an entire space for them to communicate, collaborate, brainstorm, and actually work on their assignments. So what you have when you log into Illuminate, and instructors need to set up Illuminate sessions, you get where you log in, you get a list of all the participants, you have a space here for chat, you have a microphone so that students can talk back and forth and they can hear each other, and then you have this whiteboard which allows you to either be entering text and typing in text or actually even sharing applications. One of the things you have to get used to with Illuminate is the microphone, because it takes a little bit of time to think about clicking on the microphone, talking, and when you're done talking, clicking off. Sort of like talking on a CV, over and out, it's your turn to talk. That takes a little bit of practice. And also the feeling of talking without any feedback from anyone else. You don't get any of the, because the only thing you get while you're using the microphone is your voice. But once you get accustomed to that, it is an excellent tool, especially because you can record it. So say that these are your group members, but one group member was unable to attend. Recording the session will allow them to go back at a later date and listen to that session. It's a great way to have a documentation of everything that is going on. So then all they do is search for their session, they find it here, they click on it, and they're able to listen to that recording. So check out Illuminate. It's great for teachers to spend time, maybe for the first few minutes of weekly check-in meetings. It's a great way for online students to do presentations. Instructors do have to set up the space, but there's a number of Illuminate resources through Delta. You can take one of their workshops in order to get more of the functionality of Illuminate. Now I'm going to pass it off, and Sarah's going to talk about discussion forums.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about discussion forums. Again, Illuminate is a great tool, but it does require that students are all logged into the session at the same time, or then going back and watching it later. So if you don't want to create one time to log in, but you still want to have a space where you can share files, plan, and communicate, you can think about using a discussion forum. Discussion forums are great. They're within Moodle, they're easy to set up, and you can create one that's just for the students within a certain group. And so, for example, if you create that group forum space, when they log into Moodle, they'll see that space. And they can save messages that are topic-based. They can go back later and review those messages. They're replying to one another within the forum, and that reduces email clutter. It makes it easy for them to go in and see all the messages, and it makes it easier for you to go in and see who's been communicating, who's been talking, if there are any problems, things like that. So forums are a great way for students to plan and communicate outside of email. It gives them their own space. You can easily use a forum to help evaluate their participation within the group. Also, if you'd like to create a forum with just questions about the group project, that can be open to everyone. And then there are spaces that students can go to ask questions about the group project, and other students can answer them, and you can look over what questions are being asked about the project. Okay, so now we're going to talk about working, which some would argue is the most important part of a collaborative project. When students are working together, a problem can arise if all the students have copies of the project on their own computers. So sometimes it's more efficient if students can work on the same file. There's a tool that can help them to do that. Google Docs is a great resource because once students register for Google Docs and share their file there, they can edit that file from the Google Docs internet browser. So as you can see here, we've got the little Google Doc marker that shows that a student is typing within this space. They can leave each other little comments, and the functionality is very similar to Microsoft Word. So this Google Docs file could be used to create a report or some other kind of assignment, but that report or assignment isn't on each student's individual computer. It's saved in this shared space, so they can all log in and make edits to it. What's great about Google Docs is it doesn't just offer Word-type files. You can also edit Excel files, and students can create presentations within that space. So it can really fit a lot of different projects. If you're trying to show students this as an example, one thing you might do is put the topic sign-up list in a Google Doc, and then ask the students to visit that Google Doc to sign up for a topic. This will help them to see the space for the first time and understand how easy it is for them to use. The next space we're going to talk about is video. Now, it's a little more complicated and has more features, so if you're going to use it, I would suggest playing around in the space a little bit. But it's a great tool, and it's free. So video is a space where students can go and create a project area that has a lot of different features. First of all, they can hold different meetings and conference calls from within the space. They can also create really detailed to-do lists, and each item in that to-do list can be assigned to a group member so that everyone knows what their tasks are. They can send messages back and forth to one another, and they can have polls, meaning if they're trying to make a decision about which topic to choose or things like that, they can just create a poll within the space. Let's look at some of the individual features. Here's that to-do list I was speaking of. If they create a to-do list item, you can see which student created that item, but also you can see who that item is assigned to. So for example, Alex is responsible for researching the new project. You can also see which tasks Alex has already completed. Now, since these are assigned to a specific date, this creates a really organized group calendar that the students can go back and refer to make sure they're all on track. There's also a space within Wikio that allows people to share files. So if your students have multiple files, for example, pictures within a presentation, they can use this space to share all of those files, and it keeps things from being only on one person's computer. Now they're all shared between all the students. Wikio is a great tool, but again, consider playing around in the space before you try it out with your students, just because there are so many features. Next, we're going to talk about Dropbox, and I'm going to send it over to Sarah Gilmore.
So Dropbox is another option for students that is actually on their computer. So going to Dropbox.com, students can watch a simple video that doesn't want to open up. How come it went bigger when you had it? There we go. We'll just go to that one. So let's start over for there too. Okay, cut. You can just be looking for the.
I will. The big.
When you do this,
Okay, good. Let me just rest my hand.
Awesome. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, here we go. Dropbox is another option where students can automatically share files from one computer to the next, and preserving their formatting and not having to worry about any size restrictions, and also getting a nice little reminder that something has been updated right on their computer. Let's take a look. Students can go to Dropbox.com and they can watch a very short and helpful video about how to use Dropbox and what they need to do. And downloading it is simple. It is a 3-part process to just run the installer, click yes, and then follow the instructions, and Dropbox is added to their computer. If you have a PC, what shows up is this little tiny box right here, and anytime someone updates the file, you get a small pop-up window that says that this file has been recently updated. So they don't have to go anywhere to get their new file. It is on their computer already. So here's an example of, we use this, Sarah and I use this for our Campus Ready and Speaking brown bag, and where we shared our resources here. And you can see that it appears right here in my computer. And so anytime she updated something, I would get a notification. So using Dropbox is a very easy way for students to share documents back and forth. Not only can they be on their computer, it can be on their phone, it can be on their laptop. There are multiple ways you can use Dropbox to share the document and preserve the formatting, and making sure you're using just one document and not having multiple copies of it. Now we're going to talk about some instructor resources, and the first one we're going to talk about is Survey Builder. And you may already be familiar with Survey Builder because it is an NCSU product, homegrown right here in CALS, and it is an excellent way to gather information from your students. You can either gather information that's associated with their name or anonymously. And so one really great way to use it is to ask students to provide feedback about their collaborative partners in an anonymous forum. And so there are really easy to follow steps on how to create a test or survey. This is their website where they have instructions, and it tells you exactly what you need to do to create the survey. You can choose things like a Likert scale, where you enter in the questions and then offer the number of choices, of answer choices that you want for the students. You can have short answer, or also multiple answer or multiple choice, or all that apply. Whichever one is going to be easiest for you to use with your students. And here's what students get. After you create your survey, you get a URL, and then you send that to students, and they log in with their Unity ID, and you let them know whether or not their responses are going to be anonymous or whether their name is going to be associated with it. And then they are able to fill in their answers here, and what the instructor gets back is either an Excel file, or they can view the responses directly in HTML format right on the Survey Builder website. So one of the options that you can use for this is either getting students to provide feedback, or you can use it as a quiz or a test as well. So you just go to their website and follow along, and it's a great option for collecting feedback. We really
appreciate your time. Thank you for participating in our Brown Bag Technology and Collaboration session. We hope that you've gained some useful information about different resources that are available for students as they're collaborating on projects. And we hope that you've gained some resources for yourself to help you integrate some of these technologies into your classes. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. We have our information here at the bottom of the screen. And again, we really appreciate your time as you view this information. Thanks, and best of luck with all of your collaborative endeavors.